All right, gang, this is Hexy. Let's close out the victory lost. 7 of the 9 game turns. Um, the I am so bad about uh, reading the victory conditions thoroughly. Usually you see the victory locations on the map, and you try to set your strategy around those victory objectives, and then of course, then you might have your other ones like points for casualties and stuff like that. Which in this game here, you know, um, pretty much for all types of the Axis units, the Russians get victory points for destroying them, and for the Axis units, the Soviet armored uh, is where which amazingly enough didn't have to worry about that as the Germans because it was never able to destroy any of those. So I don't know about the rest of y'all, but when I play these games, you usually try to work harder on your strategy for the attacking force because playing solo you're going to adjust for the defender as the attacker goes. Yeah, maybe you identify, well, I don't want them to get through this area here because that'll make life too easy for them. uh, I need to block here, maybe I can thin out forces here. And then as the attacker, you're trying to pick out your best avenues of approach to attain the objectives or obtain the victory locations or whatever that may be. This game, like a whole lot of other ones, as I got to the end of turn 7, and I was looking at the victory conditions, which you do at the end, I was like, okay, what? Let's see how we stand. And of course, in this game here, you need to track your victory conditions as the game goes. So the reason being is because the Germans start off with the 5 victory locations, and so they're already up 25 points. As those change hands, as the Soviets take an objective, all right, they gain 5 points, but then you got to subtract 5 points from the Germans. All right, and as you can see on the map, well, you can't see it. Let's flip the camera here. So the Russians reached out once this gap got blown open, and they took Kharkov. Okay, all right, the most northern victory location. All right, no problem. The Germans probably could have dealt with that one, but they took Rostov. I don't know about you all, but this is one of those games where I was just sort of going back in my head and thinking to myself, how many bad dice rolls did the Russians get on the attack? And I got to thinking about, they only had one attack that was at a 1-to-1. That was at a 1 point. It was 2-to-1, and they rolled a 1, and they ended up losing steps on the attack. Other than that, they either got a no result, or they forced the Axis player to retreat or take losses and retreat or whatever. I was going back to my head. I never had any real, other than the one, I never had any bad attacks. Germans, on the other hand, and I'm talking about even the Germans when they would mass these panzers together, that just did not get good enough dice rolls to affect. I mean, they would win battles, but it just wasn't enough. And I will say this, that I either was epic as the Soviet attacker in this game, or I was just a destructive catastrophe as the German commander in this game. Because for the life of me, now granted, I think I'd started to play this game with somebody once before, and I think we played a couple turns, so I never really got the whole gist of the game. But so this is really the first time I played this, and I don't see it. I saw some of the comments people made about how a good German player can really mess this up. All right. And I also get the philosophy of these panzer groups or these panzer units being just a destructive force if used correctly. But I pushed so hard and so aggressively as the Soviets within the chit draw that I don't see how the Germans could have ever stopped this. I mean, even with, I mean, look, okay, so First Panzer Army comes in over here, and they came in successfully over here. But you can see what happened to them. Because this fell and all supply back this way got cut off, ended up having to relocate the headquarters, but that left these guys. So they turned out, they started to do their thing, and then the fact that they got cut off, that the nightmare just began right there. Now, granted, they would probably get their supply. Let's see, it doesn't matter. It can be any path. So, I mean, they could literally go that way and back up through now, but it wasn't like that until the end of this last turn. So, never really got that far. But so I failed with their use. I probably should have brought them on instead of going that way and come back here towards Rostov and helping out. You still got the groups. There's probably 7 or 8 tank units left that had some great potential. The problem was when I calculated the victory points at the end of the turn, they reached that sudden death number, 15 to 45, 30 points exactly. So that ended the game right there with the Soviet victory right off the spot. So I don't really have a clue how to play this as the Germans. So this ended in a Soviet victory, but what I want to hear from everybody else is, if you've played this and won decisively as the Germans or as the Axis powers, let me know. Tell me what it is you did, because I may have to revisit this game. I did enjoy the game, so I'm going to have to revisit this to see what the hell can be done. I'm not going to set it right back up and study it again and again and again. But it just seems to me like I was able to just trash the German forces with the persistence of attacks. And then once I got a pocket open in 1 or 2 places, there was no recovery for the Germans. I don't know. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to go, and it didn't happen like that historically. I don't know. But so anyhow, give me your tips on this one here. This was a victory loss multi-man. Okay. Very good system, very good game. I'll probably move on to a victory denied here before long, because I want to see how that works around Smolensk. But let's get this thing posted. Like I said, give me your all's thoughts on this and optional approaches to the Germans in this game. All right, it's Sexy. Talk to y'all shortly.